Welcome back into the Rounding Third podcast. I'm Nick. We got Harrison tonight. How we doing, Harrison?
Good. Sorry, I missed you guys last week doing a little trick or treating.
It's all right. I mean, dude, family comes first. I mean, this is second. I
Yeah.
get it. But,
Oh,
so this week we switch Harrison out. I mean, we switch Sean out for Harrison.
yep.
Sean might join us. We're not sure. But as you can tell, my voice is still shot. It's from all the cheering about the Astros winning the World Series. Yeah, we'll go with that.
I can hear
But,
you all the way up here, man. I knew you were going after it.
I mean, we'll get into Jeremy Pena in a minute, but dude, I love that kid.
Yep.
I'm a fan for life already.
He made
Just the
Maine proud.
young, oh, absolutely, it's crazy. All right, before we get going, 98 days till spring training, 98
Woo!
days. So we're almost there. I can smell it.
I can almost hear play ball.
Right. All right, so just follow us on all our platforms on Facebook, YouTube, all of that. We'll have off-season discussions as we're also going to get into this off-season has potential to be, well, obviously way better than last off-season.
Yeah.
But I mean, the free agents and stuff that are coming up are huge blockbuster free agents. Probably one of the best classes we've seen in quite some time, and
Yeah.
it's going to be fun. So
This might be the hottest stove we've ever seen.
yeah, so stay tuned. Chime in when you can. We will totally take all comments and criticisms and whatever comes our way. But yeah, we're excited. All right, so leading off, let's finish off the World Series here. So we got on last Monday. Games 1 and 2 were played,
Yep.
and it was split 1-1. So we were kind of like, well, it could go blah 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 blah, and
But
it
I
pretty
think
much
I think the
went the way.
Phillies taking one in Houston though. I think everybody thought, wow, they might have a shot here. Like that was
Yeah.
surprising.
And what Sean and I said last week was the Phillies absolutely had to go at least 2-1 at home, and they didn't. So, but it started off well. It started
It
off
did.
well for them. Game 3, Bryce Harper gets up and does Bryce Harper things. Hits a 2-run shot, first inning. Like, welcome to Philly. Let's get it rolling. Alec Boehm in the second inning hits a solo shot. Brandon Marsh hits a solo shot. Fifth inning, Schwarber hits a 2-run shot, and then Reese Hoskins hits a solo, and that was back to back. So it's 7-0 Phils. That's how the game ends. And now everyone's like, all right, the Phillies are in this. They're in the driver's seat. They're doing well. They came in. They're up 2-1, and they're playing well at this point.
Oh, and Lance McCullers did not look good at all. I mean, he hung everything. I mean, everything was middle. They jumped on every mistake he made. Ranger Suarez is probably a guy that nobody had heard of until the playoffs, but he has been like automatic all postseason for the Phillies.
And he's a
Phillies
rookie,
fans had to
mind
feel
you.
really good at the end of Game 3.
Yeah, these rookies that are coming into these postseason moments and
Yeah.
putting up big innings and big clutch moments is unreal.
Yeah. Guy's
But,
got nasty stuff.
yeah, a lefty throwing that hard from that side and just all the movement. The movement on all these pitches that everybody has now is disgusting. I don't. They're pretty much throwing a cue ball out there, and they're still getting 6 to 8 inches of lateral movement on these pitches, and it's like, I don't know how anybody stands in a batter's box and hits it. But
I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know how these guys square some of these pitches up. But with the velocity, the different release points, the movement. I mean, it's like playing. It's like busting out the N64 and playing the old like Griffey baseball game, and you make a breaking pitch move 9 feet.
right. Yeah, and then still be able to hit it somehow. Like
Yeah,
I no idea.
no.
So yeah, so we were saying, the Phillies have, like I said, absolutely had to win 2 at home,
Yep.
in order to steal another one in Houston, unless they swept, obviously.
Yeah.
So Game 4 rolls around, and womp 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 womp. Phillies get combined no hit. Now, okay, I get it. The combined no hitter is probably what we're going to see from now on. We're not going to see many pitchers go 9 innings, but when they put the stat that there's only been 3 postseason no hitters, like, okay, I get it, but to me, the Astros combined no hitter does not belong in the same sentence as Don Larson and Roy Halladay. I'm sorry. As dominant as the pitching performance was for the Astros, it doesn't belong in the same sentence as those two. It doesn't.
No, I mean a no hitter is a hell of an accomplishment, but to do it all by yourself versus do it with these guys coming in as specialists pitching one inning, blowing guys away with crazy stuff out of the bullpen, it's not the same. It's a no-no, but it's not a solo no-no. Like they're not the
Yeah.
same.
And if Javier went out there, and who knows, at that point, his stuff looked electric.
Yeah,
He probably
I'm
could
not
have
sure
gone the
anybody was going to
distance.
hit him.
Yeah, but it's like, why are we pulling guys with no with there's only possibility of 2 other games on the back end? Like, let him go. He's not going to pitch again for the rest of the season. Like, let the guy go. I
Yeah,
don't see the point of that. Wasn't like it was
yeah.
a high
I don't.
leverage situation and you needed a bullpen arm to get it out. Like the Astros were in control of that game.
Oh, they were in complete control of that game, and I mean, Javier had gone 6 innings. He'd only thrown 97 pitches. I mean, you probably weren't going to get more than maybe another inning out of him anyways because he had thrown a lot of pitches.
Right.
But I found it surprising that he didn't, after being so dominant. I mean, 6 innings pitched, 9 Ks. They weren't putting anything in play
No.
with any kind of authority. I thought you'd at least see him come out for the 7th, and maybe what it was is because the game was still tight. It could have been Dusty trying to protect him from, making the one bad pitch and giving up the 2-run home run that makes this a game again. But I found it shocking that he came out when he did.
Yeah, I mean 97 pitches is on the higher end, but
It is.
I don't know. Morgan says completely agree. Needs to be new
Yeah.
separate stat because of the huge difference. Yeah, and it's not like the
not the
combined
same.
no hitter as it was in like the mid 90s when these guys weren't all throwing 102 miles an hour. You know what I mean? A combined no hitter in the 90s, you might have had your starter throwing high 90s, but your relief guys weren't all throwing 105 with an 8-foot slider.
Yeah, I mean, so you go from Javier, who goes 6 innings pitch, strikes out 9. Abreu comes in and strikes out the side. Montero comes in and strikes out one of the 3 guys he faces. Presley walks a guy and K's another. I mean, you had 14 strikeouts in that game.
Yeah.
A lot of 2-strike counts. A lot of guys that were just fighting pitches off and kind of smacking them and putting them in play. No real comfortable at bats. No real consistent hard contact. Those guys. I mean, the Phillies had no chance against any of them.
No, and like Morgan said earlier, is like after you get no hit and pretty much a pivotal game 4, right? Phillies win this game, they're in complete control. Astros win this game, it's 2-2, and now it's Astros series.
Well,
It favors Astros.
It's 2-2. You just got no hit. In the post game press conference, Schwarber is clearly pissed that he's even being asked questions about it. Like you see the Phillies are feeling the pressure. And oh, by the way, they've got Verlander and Valdez coming up next in a 2-2 in what's now become basically a best of 3 series and only 1 game at home. I mean, if you're the Phillies, you're absolutely crapping your pants at that point because the Astros are who you thought they were.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, game 4, game 5, it's now 2-2 at this point. Astros pretty much just come out and just completely dominate again. I mean, my game notes are literally Astros dominate, Chas McCormick game-saving catch in the 9th. I mean, the picture of his imprint on the warning track was actually pretty cool. If you haven't seen it, it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was a hell of a catch against, dude. I wouldn't want to jump up against that scoreboard protector stuff.
No.
That stuff looks like it hurts. But
yeah, no, it does not look comfortable. And again, like Verlander wasn't great. Verlander was good, but 4 walks. I mean,
he finally got his World Series win.
Finally got it.
Only took 3 decades, but so congrats to him.
It only took 3 decades.
Crazy.
He's what now 1-6 in the World Series?
Yeah. Yeah, it's unreal, man.
But like that was another game where you had a sense that like it was 1-0, 1-1, 2-1. It was 2-1 for a little while, then it was 3-1, then 3-2. Like you were just getting a sense that the Phillies weren't going to have enough. Like they just didn't have enough. And coming off that no hitter, they didn't look a lot. They had 6 hits in the game. Honestly, they had, I think 2 of those were kind of junk singles. Again, not a lot of balls hit hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Morgan makes another great point. The Astros bullpen was something we'll never. I mean, these
Unreal.
guys were lights out. What was it? A .85 ERA for the postseason? Like I don't even think it was for the.
Yeah, I thought I saw .71.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
I know. Give him some credit, man.
Like God, man, that is insane. So they pretty much let up one run the entire postseason bullpen.
Yeah, I mean you weren't scoring on those guys. It was going to require an act of God.
How the hell do they have just arm after arm after arm after arm roll out of that bullpen? Whoever is making the calls on them is just.
I was going to say, more importantly, is that those aren't like big contracts they signed. Those are guys they had in the minors. Like whatever the Astros are doing, whatever they feed these guys in the minor leagues, whatever they're teaching them works because they continue to roll out stud after stud after stud.
Dude, they
Alvarez,
trade
Bregman, Pena, Correa, like they just keep rolling people out. Altuve, like everybody on that team practically is homegrown.
Yeah. They traded for Will Smith from the Braves, and they didn't even have him on the playoff roster.
Yeah, no, they didn't even need him.
Like,
the poor guy saw no action.
Just crazy.
And even during the regular season, they barely used him. And I was really happy to see Vasquez get some more at bats as the series went on because he didn't get a lot of action early on. It was nice to see him get a hit in Game 6. Contribute to that because he seemed to fit in really well with that team.
Yeah, absolutely. So I knew after Game 5, after the Phillies didn't win Game 5, they have zero shot to go to Houston and win 2 games.
No chance.
Zero shot. I mean, 100 times out of 100, they can't win 2 games in a row there.
No.
No. So Game 6, we're back in Houston. I start watching the game. Nothing happens in the first 6 innings. My uncle's texting me back and forth, and he's like, I text him because that's when Schwarber. I go, oh, here we go, and he goes, I'm behind. I'm like, oh, what inning are you in? Yeah, like, he goes, I'm in the 4th, and I go, fast forward it to the 6th. Nothing happens.
Yeah. So it's a whole bunch of nothing until then.
Yeah, legit, nothing happens till the 6th. Schwarber gets up. It's a solo shot, 1-0. And then the Astros answer back. And this ball that Yordan Alvarez hit over the batter's eye, dead center field at Minute Maid Park. Dude, my wife comes flying in the room and she goes, are you still watching baseball? And I go, yeah, why? She's like, because it didn't sound like it. I was like, why? Because it sounded like a rocket went off? I mean, this ball was absolutely tattooed. It was like, I think it was 450 something.
Yeah, it's 450 on the dot. I've never seen a ball go on top of that batter's eye.
Dead center, man. That thing was mashed. That was nuts. To turn around 102 from Alvarado, lefty, and just be like, thanks for coming.
Yeah, like it was no big deal.
Crazy.
But I mean that was a big boy home run. That thing.
Yeah, and then
NASA was tracking that thing.
Yeah, and then after after that punch in the gut, there's no way Philly's coming back. I mean, just zero chance. And then Christian Vasquez RBI single, like you said, made it 4-1 Astros, and that was that. Astros go on to win. Morgan, you are completely correct. Kyle Schwarber possibly single-handedly kept the Phillies afloat for as much as he could. I mean, Kyle Schwarber was nasty this entire postseason.
When they needed a hit, he was the guy. I mean, and Harper had plenty of big hits, but when you look at the overall, when you look in the World Series, like the overall body of work, I mean, Harper hit 200 in the series, with a home run and 2 RBIs. I mean, he didn't do a lot in the World Series. He didn't give you much in the World Series. But then you got Schwarber, who hit 250 with 3 home runs and 4 RBIs. And honestly, Realmuto had 3 RBIs. Bohm had 3 RBIs. That was it. These guys, they scored 17 runs in 6 games. It's not like they scored a bunch of runs.
Right.
And Schwarber was involved in, 4? And then he also scored. I mean, he was involved in almost half of them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's insane.
mean that
But
that Phillies offense was was quiet.
yeah,
And they're short, but except for Schwarber, who consistently came up with big hits. But and then the pitching, you had a guy like Zach Wheeler. Zach Wheeler didn't. He might as well have not been there. Like he pitched all right, but they lost both of his starts. He didn't look good.
yeah.
It just
I mean,
after
we
Game 3, they came back to reality.
yeah, and we said they had to play like if you could above perfect baseball.
Yep.
I mean, they couldn't afford to make one single mistake. You can't give a team like the Astros 4 outs in an inning. You can't. I mean, not that the Phillies did that often, but if you
No.
give them an inch, Astros are just going to take complete advantage of it, and that's what they did.
Well, and I think the problem too is you look at the Phillies. I mean, how many guys do they leave on base? 1 out guy at second, and that guy's still at second when the third out's recorded because they had a strikeout and a pop up. Like
Right?
they weren't moving guys around, and if they weren't gonna, if you can't convert those opportunities, you're not going to beat the Astros. They just don't give you a second chance.
Well, and earlier in the postseason, the Phillies were scoring those guys.
All of them.
Yeah, Gene Segura hits it to the right side with a one-handed swing, gets him to third with less than 2 outs,
Yep.
and you're right. Like their approach at the plate was completely different. I mean, but that also could be the Astros pitching. I mean, the Astros
It is.
can go in and do their homework, and those guys are lights out. I mean, Framber Valdez. Let's just talk
Oh
about
God.
this dude for a second, huh? Talk about
Yeah.
frustrating.
He is it. I except for the Schwarber home run, I don't think there's a ball hit hard off of him in the whole World Series in both starts. Like
No,
the guy is just he's as calm as can be out there. He's in total control. He's just screwing with you. And I swear he's got the control of like Greg Maddux in his prime. He didn't miss a spot. Wherever the glove went, that's where the ball ended up. And the guy is just messing with you out there.
I think he missed one pitch, and it was like a 58-foot breaking ball. Like he
Yeah.
just didn't get it over the plate. But it's like, dude, if you're gonna miss, that's what you want to miss.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
like, yeah, his two-seamer and sinker, man, he can put it wherever he wants to.
He can, and it's such a heavy ball that the guys just roll over it. They pop it up because they're late and they flip it off to the left side as a lefty. Like it was like an art form watching that guy go because he was just painting. It didn't matter what he threw, you couldn't hit it. He knew it, you knew it. And other than that mistake to Schwarber, there was just not a lot of balls hit hard. But
Yeah.
and the thing is too, that guy is 0-2 on you in the blink of an eye. Like he's so many guys were in 0-2 counts and it felt like immediately.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you want to sit back and be patient to have him make a mistake, but then like you look up and like you said, you're already 0-2. And it's like, well, that plan didn't work. Now I
Yeah,
have to
you're
sit
waiting
on a
all day.
58-mile-an-hour breaking ball that I don't have a prayer in hitting. Like,
Yeah, I mean Framber Valdez went 6 innings pitched. So in game 6 innings pitched, 2 walks, 9 Ks. He threw 93 pitches.
yeah,
He threw 93 pitches in 6 innings with 9 Ks. Normally, when you see a high K total, you see a lot of pitches.
yeah.
But no, it didn't matter. He just because those 9 Ks were probably 4 pitches. It was probably 2 strikes, a chase pitch, and then he finished you off. Like it was just silly.
Yeah,
Yeah, and Morgan's right. The Astros make everybody look silly.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was an absolute pitching clinic, and honestly, like I'm glad Jeremy Pena got the MVP just for all selfish reasons. He's
Yeah.
from Maine. I mean, that's pretty much the biggest reason. He went to UMaine, pretty homegrown kid. Well, sort of. And UMaine just doesn't get recognition for baseball. I mean, this is the first guy since goodness, Billy Swift.
Yeah,
Maybe?
probably.
I mean, so that connection for us is really cool. But I mean, he was the most consistent part of the Astros offense. But like, I sat back and I go, Framber Valdez could easily have been the MVP of this series.
Totally,
I mean,
and it
he
would have
was
made sense.
disgusting.
For what clinched it for me was Pena in Game 6 before that Alvarez moonshot. He worked a hell of an at bat to get that single
Yeah,
to put 2 guys
absolutely.
on for Alvarez to go yard, and that at bat made me go, yeah, all right, he earned it now because he set that whole thing up by just grinding and getting on.
And it wasn't even a scorched ball, but it was just enough to get it up through the middle and
Exactly.
set the
And he
table.
fought off some good pitches, and I mean, it was a hell of an at bat. But he had a bunch of those.
Yeah.
He had a big home run for them, a couple big home runs for them in both the championship series and the World Series. The kid just kept coming through for him when they needed him. He had great at bats. He was phenomenal in the field.
Yeah.
And even Carlos Correa gave him a big nod when the series was over. I mean, there's nothing that kid didn't do, and hard to believe he's only a rookie. Looks like he's been there for years.
And we could be looking at the Platinum Glove winner. We'll get to him in a minute again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, I think it went kind of the way we all knew it would, not as much as it hoped. But
yeah.
I don't know.
Here's a reference point for you. So in the World Series, the Phillies as a team batted 163 with 71 strikeouts in 6 games.
Yikes.
I mean, 163. Segura hit 143. Realmuto hit 167. Hoskins hit 120. Harper hit 200. Castellanos hit 125. Like, these are good hitters that had no answers for that pitching staff. 163, 71 Ks. The Astros hit 240 with 57 Ks.
What's that? That's north of 11 strikeouts a game.
Yep.
Wow.
It's gonna be hard to win when you just can't. And you know, an OBP of 259. Like,
that's 3 straight games and not putting the ball in play.
Yeah, you're not getting on base. It's just it's bananas what that pitching staff did.
So Morgan poses an interesting question. Jeremy Pena is 25. This team is so young. How many more titles do they win? 3? Question mark.
I think it begs the question. It begs the question. You know, is this team now a dynasty? I think you have to say yes.
1,000% yes.
But then the question to Morgan's point is, when does it end? Like, when can they not keep this group together any longer? Because you've got guys that are going to be coming up for big contracts. Can they keep them all? You know, Verlander's going to retire one day. Although arguably in the playoffs he was your least effective starter. So maybe that's not as big a loss, but you know, you're gonna have to pay Valdez one day for sure. You have to pay a lot of those guys. Presley's gonna get paid.
I mean, I just don't see a team that's close. Really. I mean, I don't. I mean,
nobody in the American League. Nobody's even within a breath
and that's what I'm trying to figure out, right? I mean, what team is only a few pieces away where they could possibly contend? You might laugh at me for this, but the Baltimore Orioles.
I was going to say, you're going to say the Orioles. I know it.
I am. They're young enough. They're good enough. If they can keep their core together and they go out and they sign up Trey Turner, Carlos Rondon, and Aaron Judge, you know, not that they're going to. They're not.
Unfortunately, the Orioles don't do that. But if they did,
right? I mean, would that be enough to get them maybe not over the hump, but at least compete against? I mean, who else would be even close? Blue Jays, maybe.
I mean,
we'll get to the Yankees in a second because they're done.
Yeah, if the Blue Jays can figure out the pitching, they would have a shot. If Seattle can put another piece around J-Rod offensively, because I think the pitching is there now. I think the offense is still a bit of a question mark. And they lost to the Astros. They got swept by the Astros, but like every one of those games was close and hard fought.
They should have won those first 2.
Well, that's fair. So you can make an argument that Seattle's not way off. Maybe throw another bat in that lineup to help J-Rod and you're there. But I think honestly the only team that is really a fair side-by-side comparison is the Dodgers, but they don't play well enough in the postseason to get there to play them.
No. Morgan agrees 100% a dynasty. I mean, you can't say they're not. You might hate them, but they are.
There are still sports writers that are like, no, they're not a dynasty yet. No, come on, guys.
How can you say that? They've been in the World Series since 2017?
They've been to 6 straight ALCSs. They've been to 4 World Series, and they've won 2 of them. So
Dude, dynasty.
yeah,
Come on, it's stupid. But you're right. I don't think anybody can touch them for 4 or 5 years. I mean, I think we're on that same time frame, Morgan. I mean,
yeah,
I think honestly, like I said, I think Baltimore, if they added those pieces, which I don't think they're gonna,
a
Seattle
lot to
could.
ask.
You add a third starter, George Kirby gets another year under his belt. Now you have 4 decent pitchers
Yep.
at the top of your rotation. You get a veteran bat in there, kind of changes the whole dynamic for Seattle. And then, like you said, the pitching for Toronto. And I mean, who knows? The Tampa Bay Rays are always there for whatever reason. But
Yeah,
and the Guardians, they're young. They're
they are.
very young.
They're
But
not
they're
ready
not
yet, but
right. They're here.
give them some time.
Astros are in a league of their own.
Yeah,
That's
give the Guardians a couple more years of that core, kind of growing, maturing, maybe.
yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
right. Rich gets richer.
What's scary is that Houston is now a market where they could, Alvarez's contract comes up, fine, re-sign here, buddy. Valdez, let's re-sign you, and then you bring in other pieces. Yeah. I mean, hell, they let Carlos Correa walk, pop Jeremy Pena in, who nobody had heard of, and nobody even noticed.
And you probably upgraded. Upgraded.
I would take Pena over Correa right now for sure.
Ooh, 1,000%.
You're paying $35 million a year for Correa to have only slightly better numbers than Jeremy Pena. I think there's 29 MLB teams right now, because of course the Astros don't have to worry about it because they already have them, that would give you whatever you wanted for a guy like Pena.
What's crazy is you probably upgraded defensively, and Carlos Correa won the Platinum Glove last year.
I know.
And you upgraded defensively too.
He is so good.
It's crazy.
And he's so smooth. It just looks easy. You watch a guy like, Trey Turner's pretty smooth. Bogarts is pretty smooth. He can look a little choppy, like he's trying really hard sometimes. Correa's pretty smooth, but Pena's a different level of smooth. I don't think the guy breaks a sweat. I don't think his heart rate rises. The guy is just so chill, and he's so smooth in the field.
Yep. That's a great segue, Harrison, into our next segment here.
Boom.
Which is our Gold Glove Award winners. Almost like we talked about it before the show started.
I know. Amazing.
Anyways, all right. So we'll start in the AL here. Catching, Jose Trevino. First base, Vlad Guerrero Jr. Second base, Andres Gimenez. Third base, Ramon Urias. Shortstop, Jeremy Pena. Left field, Stephen Kwan. Center field, Miles Straw. Right field, Kyle Tucker. Pitcher, Shane Bieber. And they added the utility Gold Glove fielder finally. And that was given to DJ LeMahieu from your New York Yankees.
Yeah, come on.
Any surprises there?
I don't. I think there's probably more surprise in the National League. I think Trevino is a no-brainer. I mean, the guy defensively is a wizard. First base with Vlad, I'm fine with. Jimenez at second for sure. Pena at short for sure. I guess
Kwan in left is nasty. Kwan's nasty.
Yeah,
I guess
the one I kind of shake my head at a little bit is third base with Urias from the Orioles. I mean, he is really good. Jose Ramirez is also really good. I guess he's not a name I gave a lot of consideration to. But when you look at his numbers and look at some of the plays he's made this year, he's good. I think the problem is he's just not well known.
Yeah. But also to his defense, kind of. Maybe not really. I couldn't name you any other decent defensive third baseman.
I mean, Josh Donaldson, when he's healthy, is. I mean, your boy Rafi Devers, you think is so good defensively.
Listen, I never said he was great. I said he's improved every year he's been up here.
He's still statistically one of the worst, but I get it. That's fine. You love him. You're a homer.
I am. But he has gotten defensively better since his rookie and sophomore campaign. He makes better plays than he did there in those years.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think for the most part, in the American League, they got it right. I find it interesting how many Guardians are on there. You got 2 outfielders and a pitcher. Although Miles Straw, if you have not watched Miles Straw play the outfield, you're missing something. The guy He
flies.
he is the most boring center fielder ever because he catches everything, but the problem is he's waiting for it. Like
Right.
he catches balls that he's camped underneath that most guys don't even get to. Like it is scary the ground that guy covers. And what was the
Yeah.
number? His ultimate zone rating is an 8. There's like 3 other players in history that have been rated an 8. Like the guy covers everything. Everything.
Yeah, that's insane.
And the hard part is like he's not making these flashy catches because he doesn't have to. Like he's
Right,
already there underneath it.
Right.
He never misreads it. He never gets beat. Like he is a lot of fun to watch because it's boring.
Right. A name that's not on there is Aaron Judge. But I mean, he played center and right, back and forth.
Yeah.
And I mean, he made some incredible plays too. Well, Anthony
did.
Rizzo just opted out officially.
I had a feeling that was going to happen. I feel like there's going to be a mass exodus in New York. I think people are going to.
Oh, we'll get there.
I
can't wait. I will
But
get there.
I think the hard part is with Judge. I think Judge played really well in the outfield. He doesn't cover the same kind of ground these other guys do. But when you look at Kwan, Straw, and Tucker, I mean,
It's
there's
kind
no
of hard
way.
to go against those. Yeah.
No way you're going to put Judge in over any of them.
No, it's fair.
I mean, there's no Mike Trout, and he was perennial. He was typically on this list too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you miss 40 games, you probably don't.
Well, the damn guy still hit 40 homers.
I can't, dude. That just blows my mind.
The guy hit 40 home runs, only played what 75% of the year.
120 games, it's 40 homers.
I mean, unreal. It's just not right.
Yeah. I've been on the DL for 60 days. I guess I'll just show up and hit 45 bombs. Gross.
Oh God.
All right.
It's wild.
Over in the National League, catcher JT Realmuto, first base Christian Walker from the Diamondbacks, second base Brendan Rodgers from your Rockies, third base, surprise, surprise, Nolan Arenado, shortstop Dansby Swanson, left field Ian Happ, center field Trent Grisham, right field Mookie I Can Do It All Betts, and your pitcher Max Fried, whatever, however you pronounce it. And the utility went to Brendan Donovan, who this guy literally played every single position this year for the Cardinals.
Oh yeah, he did
every single one. So
and played him well. I mean, his nickname was the Swiss Army knife because they literally put him everywhere.
Yeah.
Except right at the middle. He didn't play center field, catcher, or pitcher, but he played everything else.
Yeah. So this is just, going back to Nolan Arenado. Nolan Arenado ties Ichiro Suzuki for 10 consecutive Gold Gloves to start a career.
Yeah.
10 consecutive. And you can't.
And is he like, I don't see a situation where he doesn't keep going. Like, I just don't.
He's one of these guys that could get into the Hall of Fame for his defense alone. Like, that's how incredible this guy is with the glove.
Oh, it's obscene. Like, it's just obscene.
Honestly, like when I took my baseball trip earlier this year and I went to Cincinnati and Cleveland, seeing him live and watching the range and some of the plays he made, I was just like, yes, even seeing it on TV, you're like, wow, like that was nuts. But like seeing it in person, you're just like, oh, okay, dude. Like, how did you even get to that ball and make a play on it? Like,
right.
Dude, nuts. Morgan said he's probably the best defensive player we'll ever see. Yeah. One guy in that same position that I wish I could have seen growing up that I heard was also just like Nolan Arenado was Brooks Robinson.
Yeah.
I mean, all the older guys I talked to, like, obviously TV wasn't a thing as much as it is now. Like, we have total access to all these guys, but like when Brooks Robinson was playing, you didn't have that. And
you didn't.
But goodness gracious, I've heard people that have seen him and they said this is easily the best defender they've ever seen. And I would love to have both of those guys at third base just hitting rockets at him to see who comes up with them. But
yeah, when you think of defensive third baseman, you think of Brooks Robinson, Mike Schmidt, Scott Rowland, Nolan Arenado. And I think in a couple of years it's going to be in reverse order. You're going to think of Arenado first and then everybody else. Because he is a generational talent. The guy is, and he gets better. Like he spent the year working on his hips because he felt like he lost mobility, and he was better
Yeah,
than ever this year. Like
it's crazy.
the guy is an absolute craftsman with the way he goes about his work. But the guy's got a cannon for an arm. He's got the range of a shortstop playing third base. He reads everything well. He's a super smart baseball player, like one of those crazy off the charts high IQ guys. That he's reading the play before it happens. It's just, and what's amazing is you look at the MVP finalists too. You know, you got both he and Goldschmidt are MVP finalists. They're also Gold Glove finalists. Like these guys, the Cardinals are in really good hands for a while if they can just find the last piece or two to put them over the hump.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
and I mean, we kind of picked them to make a run this year, and the Phillies just went in and just took care of business. But
yeah, I struggled a little bit with the NL Gold Glove results at some of these positions. I had, I mean, Swanson at shortstop's a no-brainer, and I got to be honest, I never appreciated his defense enough. But at second base, like I really thought it was going to go to Edman. Edman won it last year. Like he's insanely good defensively. And I'll be honest, Brendan Rodgers in Colorado, I probably saw him twice all season, where I saw Edman a lot more. So I didn't really get to appreciate what he can do with the glove. But Colorado doesn't really draw my attention. At first base, I did not have Christian Walker. I had Goldschmidt, followed by Olson, followed by Walker. But when you look at defensive statistics and you watch how Walker played, again, another guy out in Arizona that friggin' nobody sees, who had a hell of a season.
Yep.
And I had him third in that list and didn't give him nearly enough respect, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's kind of that you don't, like, you forget that the Arizona Diamondbacks are a major league franchise, right? Because you just don't see them. You don't see them play.
But yeah, it's impressive. And then, you know, like another guy who in left field, I thought David Peralta, when he was in Arizona before the trade to Tampa Bay, was the best left fielder in the National League.
Yeah.
He won it in 19. He got moved to Tampa Bay. Maybe that didn't help his cause, but he is amazing in the outfield. And then I think the catcher position, you know, it's hard to go against Raul Muto, but Travis d'Arnaud is not a slouch.
No, absolutely not. I thought this stat was kind of cool. This was the 14 first-time winners, which is the most ever. So
wow, yeah, that's impressive.
There's 14 first-time winners. So,
and also for the first time, you had a player nominated at two positions. You had Tommy Edman from St. Louis was in at second base and utility.
Yep. So was Dalton Varsho.
Oh,
Dalton Varsho was for utility and I think right field.
Yeah, that's right. Varsho was also. You had the first time guys had multiple spots.
Yeah.
And neither one of them got either one of them.
Yeah.
But
crazy.
Oh well.
All right. Now,
yeah, and Morgan's right. We might see more of these guys if baseball marketed those skilled players better. Because I'll be honest, Christian Walker, Brendan Rodgers, I probably saw both of those guys twice this year. Because honestly, am I going to watch the Colorado Rockies and the Arizona Diamondbacks at 10 o'clock? Hell no. I wouldn't watch them at 4 o'clock, let alone 10 o'clock, because they stink.
I wouldn't watch them if you paid me to.
Right. You know, it's hard. Like there are really great players on some of these teams out west that, honestly, I'm just not staying up until 10 o'clock to watch.
Yeah.
There's other games I'm going to watch first.
Yep. Absolutely. It's fine. I mean, MLB just sits there and markets Shohei Ohtani about 85 million times a day. So, I mean,
yeah. And I'm pretty sure he pitches and hits, which is amazing. That's never happened.
Wait, what?
It's never happened in baseball history, Nick. Come on, get with the times.
No, I don't believe
Shohei Ohtani is doing stuff nobody's ever done before.
No way. He must get the MVP this year.
Yeah. Well, before we get canceled, let's move on.
Okay. All right, we're gonna move on to free agent updates and surprises here. Let's see. The entire New York Yankees roster just opted out.
I was going to say everybody's a free agent.
Let's just start there. And then we'll go to the other team, the AL East there. Goodness gracious. All right. Benintendi, gone. Britton, gone. Carpenter, I mean, not really. That's fine. Miguel Castro, Aroldis Chapman, Marlon Gonzalez, Chad Green, Aaron Judge, Jameson Taillon, and now Anthony Rizzo has opted out. Dude, he should have, Morgan. The manager totally should have opted out, but the good old Yankees actually opted him in. That's why all the players are opting out.
I was just gonna say
Or what is that organization doing? What are
God,
they
are they
doing?
lost? They are lost.
And they don't think they are. That's the crazy part.
No, they the definition of insanity is doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting a different outcome. They've been building these teams the same way since they last won in 2009. I mean, they've won one World Series in 20 years, and they keep building the same damn teams. Questionable pitching, home run based offense. And yet they can't win with that. And everybody can tells you, everybody said what wins World Series championships. Well, look at the Astros. It's pitching and defense, and timely hitting. You don't need to score 10 runs to win the World Series. You just can't give up 10.
Right.
But they keep doing the same. I mean, if I'm a Yankees fan and I watched that series against the Astros, my eyes should have been like this the whole time, because the Astros absolutely friggin' owned the Yankees, owned them.
Mm-hmm.
The Yankees would have actually done better in that series if they just hadn't shown up.
No joke. Like, all kidding aside, I think you're right.
I mean, it was awful. It was awful. That the Astros, we were talking about the teams that are close. The Yankees ain't that team. They're not even in the vicinity.
No.
They may be better than the Blue Jays and Rays for now, but they're not better than the Astros. I mean, they're maybe the third best team in the American League.
I mean, this just says everything you need to know about your superstar, Aaron Judge. Pretty much said that, like, thanks for that low ball offer, but, like, I'm good. Thanks. He knows what's going on in that front office. He knows what's going on in the dugout. He knows the culture in the clubhouse. He doesn't want any part of it anymore. He's done.
No.
And it's the examples that I keep bringing up. Miles Straw in Yankee Stadium. He's the first one out there trying to put out the fire. Josh Donaldson starting a brawl for no freaking reason. Garrett Cole coming out after Judge gets plunked by a pitch. And Judge was like, dude, get back in the dugout. You look like a tool. Like, he's just done with it. He's done with that culture. And I don't blame him. Like, you can't, like you said, like the definition of insanity. And they just, who was it? Was it Sean a couple weeks ago that was like, we're going to keep building the team because home runs puts season ticket butts in the seats.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just like, he's so right. They don't care about winning. They just care about the money at this point.
Yeah. I think that, so look at the organization in the 90s. They won all those World Series, 3 in a row even. And what was that team built on? It was built on pitching, defense. Scott Brocious was a friggin' World Series MVP. He wasn't hitting 40 bombs.
No.
That was a team that was built on defense, pitching, timely hitting. Those were not guys. Bernie Williams was not hitting bombs. Tino Martinez was not hitting a bunch of bombs. I don't think any of those guys hit more than 30 home runs in a season.
All on base guys. All of them. It was
high OBP, gap hitters, a lot of doubles, but they wore you out. They absolutely wore you out. And then the Yankees won all those World Series, and they got amnesia of how they did it and started going for the guys that put butts in seats. And I actually believe that when old man Steinbrenner died, that's when this direction of the organization completely changed. I don't think Hal cares about winning. I don't think he gives a crap about hoisting a banner. I think he says that to make the fans happy. These guys are making so much money on media rights and merchandise and tickets and concessions and all the other crap. I think Hal Steinbrenner likes to cash a big check. I don't think he cares if they actually win. What does Aaron Judge do? He hits 62 home runs and sells a bunch of friggin' jerseys. And that's all that matters.
Preach it, Harrison. Preach. Keep going.
Honestly, I think the Red Sox have become the same way. I don't think the Red Sox right now care that much about winning either. I think they're trying to build a fiscally conservative ball club that contends. And if they win, cool. If they don't, oh well.
Yeah. So why don't we just move up to also, not to be biased, that also train wreck of an organization right now. Yeah. Xander Bogaerts is walking. He's opting out. Bye. See ya.
Everybody knew it. I mean, it was no surprise.
Yep. No surprise at all.
Although, when you look at the free agent class, I don't know that Bogaerts played his cards right here because he's going up against. So arguably, he's the second or third shortstop in this class. Trey Turner is clearly the best. You can't even argue it.
Yep.
It's Trey Turner number one. It's Bogaerts and Correa kind of fighting for 2A and 2B, and then Swanson third. I actually think Swanson's going to be the guy that's most attractive because he's going to be the cheapest. And
Okay. I can
offensively,
see
he's
that.
not a huge drop off, but defensively, he is potentially the best of those four. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a trade off. And then you're going to have, I think Turner's going to get $30-35 million, and Correa and Bogaerts going to be looking for something in that 28 to 32 range. But I don't see a lot of teams signing up to give those guys 30+ million bucks. I mean, Carlos Correa again shows that he can't stay healthy, and that's
Right.
been the story of his career. Bogaerts has a massive power outage. Hits the fewest home runs of the whole free agent class of shortstops.
He
Like,
didn't have double digits until like September either.
I know a lot of them came late. He had like 9 through late August or something crazy. But so I think all these guys have question marks except for Trey Turner and Dansby Swanson, and those guys are going to bookend the market, and then Correa and Bogaerts are going to be fighting for what's left.
Yeah.
And I don't know that. I mean, is Bogaerts going to get a raise? Probably, because his contract was not like crazy lucrative. But I don't think he's going to get what he's looking for.
Yeah. Goodness. Yankees will play Bogaerts 35 million.
Of course they will, because why not?
Another Red Sox to the Yankees free agent. Another one.
And I think Xander Bogaerts at Yankee Stadium with that big left center gap will hit 9 home runs next year, and they'll boo him the hell out of New York.
But Xander can also hit the ball the other way, though.
He can.
That's his saving. Oh, excuse me. That's his saving grace at Yankee Stadium. There.
Yeah, he'll steal a couple to right, but
yep.
A lot of his power is left field gap, and that ballpark's going to kill him.
Yep.
But I don't know. I mean, is somebody going to pay him? Oh yeah, somebody's going to pay him. Yep. But I think that it's going to take a little time for him to get what he's looking for, and I don't think he's going to get the years he wants. And I hope for his sake I'm wrong. I hope somebody offers him a 6 or 7 year deal at $210 million, and he's happy as can be. But I just don't know what the market's going to be there.
Yeah. What did the Red Sox have to do this, or what? I mean, goodness, where do the Red Sox need to go? What are their offseason moves here?
So if I'm the Red Sox, I'm focused on probably 3 things. Who's my shortstop? How do I keep Devers? How do I keep Devers? And then who's going to be at the back end of my bullpen? And if you can fix those 3 problems in the offseason, you go into next year significantly ahead of where you were. Are you a contender for the AL East yet? No, you're not. But you're not going to finish in 5th place.
No.
Maybe 4th. But you're gonna lose. you're gonna lose Eovaldi. Okay. You're gonna lose Eovaldi. I don't feel like that's a massive pain. You may have a chance to get Sale for the whole season. That'd be a big win. You've got some young pitchers. They've got to figure out what they're going to do with Paxton. His options up. Are they going to keep him? They're going to let him go? Has he shown any signs of life? But I think you got to figure out. You got to sign Devers. You got to fill the hole at shortstop, and you need to go and solve the back end of the bullpen. Other than that, you can kind of plug in some temporary pieces and sort it out.
Yeah, I mean, I think you need a decent starter somewhere in there.
You do.
I mean,
Morgan, you're 100% right. If these teams don't get the offseason right, you could be looking at the Yankees, Red Sox 4-5 in the division. 1,000% true.
Not crazy. That is crazy.
But honestly, the way the organizations have run themselves the last few years, they kind of deserve it.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And they need to. I mean, the Red Sox have finished dead last every other year for the last 6?
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't figured it out. 2018, they caught lightning in a bottle. But otherwise,
and even last year they did too.
Same thing. They're just like the Phillies. They got hot at the right time. They were an average to above average team that got hot at the right time and carried themselves as far as they could, but ultimately came crashing back down to reality. And as we say all the time, the best team wins almost always in the 7-game series.
Yeah.
And that's what happens in the playoffs. The best team typically wins, but the Yankees and Red Sox have some serious holes to fill, because that Yankees lineup right now, they 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 got nothing in it. I mean, if you think that Gleyber Torres and guys like that are going to carry that team anywhere, it's laughable.
Another position that I think Red Sox could upgrade or get better at is catching. William Contreras is a free agent. Could always bring Christian Vasquez back.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be some catching free agents out there.
I feel like the Sox are going to go the direction of the Astros. They love this McGuire kid because he's defensively he's a wizard. Like he's fantastic defensively. I feel like the Red Sox are going to go defense first at catcher because that was the Astros. They did that to kind of hold up the pitching, solidify the pitching. I could see the Sox going with McGuire as their guy, and then filling in an adequate backup, like a Plawecki kind of player, to fill in as a platoon type thing. But I don't think catch is a position they're going to go after. I think they're going to go after some other spots that may have some more bang for the buck, because that pitching staff, like think of Varitek. Like what he did for that pitching staff was more important than what he did offensively. Thankfully, he could hit. Most of these guys can't. But what he did for that staff and how he called a game, framed pitches, and got them comfortable, I think they want that more than anything, because that pitching staff just Vasquez is good behind the plate, but I mean it just you see a lot of guys shaking pitches off. You see a lot of mislocations. You see a lot of pausing. Like that rotation just doesn't seem to get comfortable.
Yeah.
Granted, they stunk, which doesn't help either, but they gotta get somebody behind the plate who can be a real rock for them.
Yeah, that Varitek Mirabelli tandem. Oh,
I mean, Mirabelli couldn't hit his way out of a friggin' phone booth, but
right.
Yeah, exactly. Ross was the same thing for the Cubs in 2016. He was that quiet, consistent thing force behind the plate. He called a great game, kept the guys relaxed, framed pitches excellently. Umpires loved him. I swear to God, that guy got calls because they all loved him.
Right.
I think you need that stabilizing catcher right now, because you do have some young pitching. You do have a lot of transition, but
absolutely
they need as much pitching as they can get. And seeing a guy like Rodon become a free agent too is intriguing, because he'd look really good in Boston.
Yep. Let's see. Any other interesting free agents here? Goodness.
Justin Verlander.
Is he officially up?
He is, yep.
I think he just resigns, right?
I have to think so, but I mean, where else would he go? I mean, Jacob deGrom, free agent. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, that's a big one.
This is a pretty thick class of free agents. There's a lot of depth here, a lot of really impressive players. And you got a guy like your boy Edwin Diaz, who goes out and sets the record for a closer.
I was just going to say
the day it starts.
It's insane. That is nuts.
5 years, 102 million. Yeah, 5 years, 102 million, a full no trade clause, an opt out at the end of year. It's either 3, is it 2 or 3? And then a 6-year option. So I mean, the Mets made the biggest commitment to a closer that's ever been seen.
Crazy. Yeah, I mean, Carlos Rondon's a big one. I think he could go somewhere and make a real big impact.
Yeah. So as of right now, your top 10 free agents are Aaron Judge, Jacob deGrom, Carlos Correa, Trey Turner, Xander Bogaerts, Justin Verlander, Brandon Nimmo, who's a very quiet free agent but a hell of an outfielder, Carlos Rodon, Dansby Swanson, Clayton Kershaw, Wilson Contreras. I mean, you keep going. Chris Bassett opted out. Anthony Rizzo opted out. I mean, there's some serious talent out there. Jameson Talon, Michael Brantley. Jose Abreu is a free agent. I didn't realize he was 36.
Yeah, and he's just been in Chicago, like wasting away over there.
I know. It made me shake my head that he was that old, and you kind of just forget about the guy.
Yeah.
Kenley Jansen's a free agent again. There's some good relievers out there. Andrew Haney.
Yeah,
There's
that's another guy that got hurt this year, never came back.
Yep. Your boy Gene Segura is a free agent. Christian Vasquez is out there. I don't know if he'll come back to Boston, but I think he showed that he's got some value.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Trey Mancini, is his contract up there, or did he get dealt with like 1 year left on it?
That's a great question. I do not know. I don't see him on the list. You've got JD Martinez, Jurickson Profar, who had a hell of a postseason for the Padres. Evaldi, Michael Wacha, Conforto, Josh Bell. Trey Mancini's a free agent. I see he's right here.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, does he go back and reunite with the Orioles? Martin Perez in Texas, who had a hell of a season, is a free agent too. He's spends a year, it seems like, everywhere. And
Yeah.
I had to laugh. Evan Longoria is a free agent. Isn't he like $1 million?
He's got to be, right? He's been in the league since '83, I think.
I mean, I saw his name on the list, and I'm like, Evan Longoria is he still in baseball?
Yeah, over there on the Giants.
I don't know. He went out to San Francisco, and he just kind of like did his thing, and he's been hurt a bunch, but he's a free agent coming off a massive season when he hit 244 with 14 home runs.
Yeah.
He's also 36, so he's younger than us, Nick.
36. It's crazy. It feels like he came into the league early, it seems like.
I feel like he's been around forever. His rookie season was 2008. Man.
Crazy.
Yeah, he was so good in Tampa. And Morgan, that's the point I've been asking. I was pressing Sean on a couple weeks ago, like, so say DeGrom's worth 30 million or 40. Say DeGrom's worth $40 million a year. Do you pay him 20, knowing he's only going to make 15 starts, not 30? Like, how do you handle DeGrom? The guy physically won't be out there more than half the time.
Yeah, I don't even know. If I'm not the Mets, I don't even know how to even like offer him an offer, if that makes sense.
He's 34. He's just finished his age 34 season. He's gonna be 35 next year. In 2020 was a short year. He made 12 starts in 2020, 15 in 21, 11 in 22. The guy's made 26 starts the last 2 full seasons. He's given you 1 year in the last 2. How can you pay the guy when you know he won't be out there?
I don't know. I can't even put a number on it.
No, and then Judge is absolutely going to get paid because people won't care. You hit 62 home runs, he sells tickets, they'll pay the difference because he'll put butts in seats and draw other players there, I think. But yeah, it's you've got a crazy amount of talent out there. It'll be interesting to see where it all ends up.
I think my interest is obviously Judge, but I don't think that's going to be very. I don't think there's going to be a lot of drama around that. I think he goes to San Francisco and that's it. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel like it's going to be an absolute bidding war.
Let's move on then. Let's talk about some of the biggest headlines.
Okay, biggest headlines of the offseason.
You just heard it here. Nick just called Judge to the Giants.
Judge to the Giants. I think that's where he goes. The Giants pretty much came out and said, "We will sell the franchise in order to bring him here." Short of selling the team, obviously, they're going to do whatever it takes to get him back home.
In my mind, it's Giants or Dodgers. I think he goes out west. It's where he wants to be. Both of those teams are going to give him whatever he wants. The Dodgers don't need him, but they do have some holes in the outfield. And Bellinger is not who he was that 1 year. And they're talking about moving Mookie Betts back to second base to fill that hole to make room for Judge. I think it's Giants or Dodgers. He goes out west. I don't even think he has much of a conversation with the Yankees. I think he's already decided to move on.
Yeah, 1,000%. And I don't think, like I said, I don't think it's going to be like this big dramatic thing. It's not going to be LeBron James a decision. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be Giants come in, Judge goes, "Thank you, I'll take it." Done.
Or
that's it.
Bryce Harper signing a week after spring training starts.
Right. Like
I think teams are going to throw stupid offers at him. He's going to pick one and go.
Yep. I don't think there's going to be a lot of drama there.
No.
And then where these four free agent shortstops end up.
Yeah, I think
Like,
for me on that,
no
I
idea.
think the big question mark is who ends up in St. Louis. St. Louis has made it very clear they need a shortstop. So so of those 4 shortstops, somebody's going to Atlanta, somebody's going to Boston, somebody's going to St. Louis, and then where's the 4th guy going?
Seattle.
That's a good answer. And then what do the Dodgers do if they don't get one?
They get Aaron Judge.
Maybe he plays shortstop. it wouldn't even matter. It wouldn't even matter where you put him.
Right. But I mean,
Judge to the Padres. Could you imagine Soto and Judge in the same lineup? Oh my God, that would be stupid.
well, let's be honest. Tatis finally comes back from his steroids. You got Tatis, Machado, Judge, and Soto, 2 through 5.
Dude, I'm buying Padres tickets, and I live nowhere near San Diego.
Whew. Those 4 back to back. Get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Padres could pull it off, but man, it would be amazing to see that lineup.
God dang.
If I'm the Dodgers, I would be freaking out. But yeah. So then you see you got a shortstop's going to go to Boston, one's going to go to St. Louis, one's going to go to Atlanta, because Atlanta's going to have one of those guys, and the 4th one goes where? I don't think Minnesota is going to make a real run at any of those guys again, because that's a team that's still too far away.
Yep. Yeah. I think they missed their shot by not making the playoffs this year.
Yep.
The Guardians going in and kicking their ass and sending them home early. That changed the minds of the Minnesota Twins real quick.
And they stomped all over them. I mean, the Guardians absolutely stomped all over them in September.
Those were 3 must-win games, or at least one of them was for the Twins, and they couldn't even do it. And they had 8 of their last 10 games were against the Guardians. They only needed to win 4 or 5 of them, and they couldn't even get 2 wins out of there. But goodness. Dansby to St. Louis, Turner to Seattle, Xander to Atlanta, Correa to somewhere random like the Brewers.
I could see it. And I like Dansby Swanson to St. Louis. I actually think Dansby will stay in Atlanta. I think he's going to stay there. But I actually like him in going to St. Louis because St. Louis has proven they are defensive-minded first, given all the Gold Glovers roaming that infield. He would fit in perfectly. Trey Turner would be exciting in Seattle, and that'd be a huge boost to J-Rod to have a guy like him around him, a true professional. Xander to Atlanta, I don't know how well Xander fits in Atlanta, but maybe. And then, Correa is going to go somewhere random because I think your contending teams are going to see him for what he is, and they're going to be like, no, thanks.
I could see Xander in St. Louis.
I could, because he's a good enough balance.
We kind of said that at the deadline. We kind of figured that he was going to go there at the deadline.
Well, St. Louis was very obvious they were looking for a shortstop, and if they could have pulled something off, they would have. But I think it's either going to be Dansby Swanson or Xander in St. Louis. I love the idea of Turner in Seattle, but I actually think Trey Turner. I think your name this week might be right, Nick. I think the Red Sox may make a hard run at Trey Turner.
You think so, even though they paid Trevor Story for that money, knowing that Bogaerts possibly wasn't coming back?
I can see the Red Sox making a real hard run at Trey Turner. I think he gives them a little more pop and flash than Xander, which I think that's what they want. I think you look at the body work for Xander. He's been a really good shortstop in Boston for a while. I don't think he quite lived up to the hype coming out of the minor leagues.
Yeah, I mean, Xander's been a very nice player for the
He's
Red
been
Sox.
Excellent. He projected as a guy that's going to hit 330 and 100, and that's not who he is.
He's a 300 guy, which I would take a 300 guy, especially this game now with all these strikeouts. I'd totally take a 300 guy.
No, I would agree.
I mean, yes, the power numbers were down out of hitter's ballpark, but I would take a 300 average over a Joey Gallo 5,000 strikeouts, obviously. Yeah, no. But yeah, Morgan, that's another interesting take. I don't think Boston draws attention from anyone. I mean, right now, I don't.
No, I agree.
I don't I don't disagree with you. So I
Yeah.
agree with you.
The Red Sox are going to have to overpay to get one of those guys to come here, no doubt. And honestly, I don't think Trevor Story wanted to come here. I think he settled here because there was nobody else banging down his door, and that's why they got him. They got him for the same money as Javi Baez, which is like stealing.
Right.
But I mean, the Red Sox could very easily say, okay, screw the shortstop market, slide Story over, go find a second baseman.
Mm-hmm.
You can go get a guy like a Gene Segura who's going to be a lot cheaper and fill the gap that way. But I think the Red Sox are going to make a run at Trey Turner. I think they're going to talk to Xander. But I agree, they're going to have to really convince these guys to come here because this organization is a mess. They've got
and we ain't winning anytime soon.
No, I mean, even if you go and sign Trey Turner, if you sign 2 or 3 of these big free agents, you still aren't winning the East next year.
Nope.
Because you're still a handful of guys away from being in that level again. So no, if you're coming here to be part of a 3-year rebuild because it's going to take that long to fix this.
Yeah. Next year, final standings. How's the AL East shake out? with everything up in the air right now.
If I had to pick right now, I'm going Blue Jays, Rays, Orioles, Yankees, Red Sox.
Same.
That's how I'm going right now.
I could also see the Rays and Jays flipping.
Totally. You could.
But I think I'm with you. I think it's Jays, Rays, Orioles, Yankees, Red Sox at this current moment.
Yeah. The Yankees have a lot of holes to fill. A lot.
And the Red Sox do too, to be completely fair. A ton.
Yeah, the Red Sox are not even in the same. They're like 3 years behind the Yankees. But the Yankees roster, the way it's constructed right now with all the free agents they've got and all the holes they've got to fill, this might be their busiest offseason in a long time because they have some serious stuff to fix. I almost said Orioles first, Morgan. I thought about it, but I don't know that I'm there yet. But
Orioles are a couple pieces away from being very competitive. Very competitive.
If the Orioles dropped in a couple of experienced bats and an arm, they absolutely could win the East. They're close.
Just think, they were without their ace this year. John Means was out with Tommy John.
That's true.
He's coming back.
Well, and you traded friggin' Trey Mancini and the closer. What's his name?
Oh, Jorge Lopez.
I wanted to call him Jorge Sosa. You traded those 2 guys at the deadline. You still made a run in September. I mean, that's a talented young team. So you get Means back. You pop a couple bats in there. Maybe. I mean, they might. They're not far away.
No, they really aren't.
And if the Blue Jays can't get that pitching situation fixed, they can't win every game friggin' 10-8. They just can't.
No. And they showed it against the Mariners.
Oh, Jesus, did they ever? They just
team they had an 8-0 lead, right? 8-0 lead, and Mariners were like,
lost.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. You can't the team. They can score runs. My God, can they score runs? But man, they cannot stop them.
Nope.
I think honestly, and that's another one of these big headlines. You have some teams like the Guardians, the Orioles, the Mariners that are probably 1, maybe 2 players away from being legitimate ALCS, participants. And then the National League, you've got the Padres, the Phillies, that are probably again a piece away. Cardinals, what I put in that bucket too, they're probably that 1 piece away from being legitimate NLCS participants for years to come. You've got 5 or 6 teams that are going to be very active looking to fill that hole.
Which teams didn't make the playoffs this year that could make some moves to get them in the playoff discussion next year?
Orioles. I think the Orioles are a couple moves away. I think the Brewers are a couple moves away.
Yep.
I think the Giants, I really thought would be better this year. They're probably now a few moves away.
I would hate to say that last year was just a flash in the pan, but it's hard to say that when they won like 110 games.
I know they won so many games and then stunk this year.
It's hard to say it's a flash in the pan, but
so I think the White Sox. I think the White Sox are a manager and a couple pieces away from being a legitimate.
They did get a new manager.
Oh, that's right. Who is it? Is it Skip Schumacher?
Pedro Pedro Grifol
Oh,
from the Royals. He was like a
oh wait, Skip
bench coach.
Schumacher went to the Marlins, right?
Yes, yes, I believe so.
Yeah, went to the Marlins.
Yeah. So Grifol was a Royals bench coach, I think.
Oh, interesting.
That
All
went
right,
to the White
I didn't
Sox.
see that one. Okay.
Yeah, they're hoping he doesn't fall asleep until at least the third.
The Tony La Russa thing was a joke. I mean, let's call it what it is. It was a joke.
And it's too
That
bad
guy.
because the White Sox really weren't that far out of it down the stretch.
No, they weren't. I mean that was a team with all that potential, Moncada and Kopech and Abreu and so much talent, and they just couldn't get out of their own way.
Yep. Great.
But yeah, and then I mean the NL East, you're going to be 3 teams deep again potentially. The Central, the Cardinals and Brewers are one piece away from being legitimate contenders there.
Do you
the
think
Dodgers
you have
and
3
Padres.
teams you think you have 3 teams from the AL East again next year?
If somebody from the Central can wake up, no, but I don't. I'm not. I mean, I think the Twins are going to go backwards next year.
Here's my hot take.
Oh, here we
The
go.
Anaheim Angels finished last.
I had the Angels making the playoffs this year, and they looked damn good until it all fell apart.
Right. Yeah.
I am so looking forward to seeing a full season of O'Neal Cruz. I am so looking forward to it.
Great.
There are so many insanely good young players right now. Cruz and J-Rod and Pena. And I mean, like half of the friggin' Atlanta Braves starting staff. There are so
Strider,
many. There's so
Harris.
many good young players right now. It's going to be fun for a while.
And even that generation above that, like Guerrero, Bichette, Tatis, they're not even that old either. Soto,
no, they're all mid-20s.
Those guys are babies too.
Yeah,
like baseball's in great hands right now for sure.
Yeah, there's so much good young talent in the game right now, and sadly, a bunch of it's in bad markets, but that'll fix itself when free agency happens.
It will, and who knows? Like these small market teams could get in. I mean, especially if they keep the playoff format the way it is.
Yep.
But who knows? I mean, typical MLB fashion will be different next year.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the biggest headlines of the offseason: where do the shortstops go? What do the Red Sox do? What do the Yankees do? Do these 5 or 6 teams on the edge make a big move to kind of get over the hump? And then you've got a lot of teams at the lower end, like the Marlins, that are retooling again with a new manager. You've got the White Sox who are trying to reboot. You got the Angels who still have Trout and Ohtani. Are they ever going to do anything with them? I don't know.
I mean, they just extended Ohtani for one more year. Even if they're in last place, they don't deal him until the offseason, or they just let him walk. There's no way you're going to trade him at the deadline and lose out on those ticket sales for those last 2 months.
No, and the organization's going up for sale. So it's one of those things where they're just next year they're going to be kind of one of those zombie teams that's just existing until they're sold, and then a new regime will come in and blow it all up and start over.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it will be interesting to see for me how the Yankees, if the Yankees fix it. Same thing with the Red Sox. Like, how long will this Chaim Bloom experiment last before Boston fans? I mean, they're already calling for his head, but when do they okay, we're done with this. Bring somebody else in. Like, we're over this. When does that experiment end? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot this offseason. I can't wait.
Well, and I think to go back to what we talked about before, I don't know that the Red Sox organization necessarily cares as much about winning as the fan base does.
Right.
I don't think they're upset with what Chaim Bloom has done. He's resetting the roster. He's going to get them back into a spot of financial flexibility and kind of cost control. Theo Epstein's old line of cost certainty. They liked those contracts that were fixed and falling off in shorter windows of time, and I think he's doing what they want him to do. The fan base just doesn't like it because they're basically pushing the reset button on a 2018 World Series winner. And some of it they needed to do, and some of it they're, I think, choosing to do. But, Chris Sale announced he's not going to opt out. He's going to stay. Well, why wouldn't he? He's worth nothing on the open market right now.
The dude can't even ride a bicycle safely.
Yeah, it's laughable. Chris Sale's not going to opt out. Well, duh. Like, where's he going to go? Who's going to pay him? The guy's pitched, 50 innings in 3 years? Like,
yeah.
I mean, or not even that. Maybe it was like 30 innings. I forget the number.
Yeah,
Guy pitched 5 last season.
Jacob deGrom has pitched more innings than you have.
Right. And then I had to laugh. I saw a headline today that the Red Sox are doing their due diligence on Jacob deGrom. Why the hell would you do that? You already got one pitcher who can't get on the field. You don't need two of them.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
I think we're going to learn a lot about the Red Sox this offseason. If they get aggressive and serious.
Yeah. Pretty good, Morgan. I love that.
Holy shit balls.
Don't bring politics in this until tomorrow.
Wow, that was good, Morgan. We needed a little relief there. Oh, Jesus. But I think you're going to learn a lot about the Red Sox, and I think also the Yankees. The Yankees have a chance to retool and rebuild that roster. Do they? Or do they just keep doing the same crap they've been doing? Same with the Red Sox. Are they going to get serious about building a contender, or just frig around with these one-off pieces like Kike Hernandez? Love Kike, but you're not going to win the World Series just because you signed Kike.
No. Can't make me laugh, man. It hurts to laugh. Hurts to
talk. That was good.
I can't.
That was good.
All right, heading home. I actually don't have any news. I mean, my news was the Chicago White Sox new manager, and then Edwin Diaz already signing that crazy deal. Talk about marketing yourself, huh? You play trumpets, and then it's like bang. Now you're the highest paid
I know. If that's all it took, I mean, other guys would have had Timmy Trumpet lined up a long time ago.
Dude, I would do it going into school if it meant I was getting a raise like that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, I think your Cactus should be negotiating a new contract for itself.
Dude, oh my God, that's so much
Jeremy
fun.
Pena, that's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah.
I thought my Pokey Reese name was good. You've had some really good ones lately.
Yeah, man. I got a whole list of them that are coming up. I'll give you a sneak peek. Next week's Oscar the Ouch.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's good.
But yeah, I saw that, Morgan. Yeah, Ohtani's not getting traded. I mean, why would you, right? I mean, Ohtani's bringing butts into your seat, and you're the worst organization in Major League Baseball. I mean, okay, no, you're not. I rephrased. Sorry, the other AL West team, Oakland A's, then Anaheim Angels.
Yeah. Thankfully, you've got the Oakland A's who are going to be the doormat for you automatically.
Right, but the Angels aren't far behind them, and that's terrible.
What's amazing is I saw that headline of Ohtani not getting traded, and right after that was the headline of water is wet and snow is cold. And I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Right.
I mean, you can't trade Ohtani. Like,
no.
You can't get enough value for him. It's like, even look at the Juan Soto trade. The Padres gave everything they could to the Nationals. The Nationals are still never going to get the value back for Soto. Like, there are certain players that they're just not tradable because you'll never get the value back.
Right. What do you do? I'll send you 4 pitching prospects and 4 hitting prospects.
Yeah, I'll trade you Ohtani for your major league and minor league rosters.
Yeah, right.
Like, it's just
you can't
not right.
You can't put a penny on him. It's interesting. I don't know.
So there's a couple other things I had for you, Nick. So, the Cardinals hired Matt Holliday as their new bench coach.
Saw that.
Which I found fascinating because, everybody knows Matt Holliday's history with the Cardinals. But a guy who's still super active in baseball. And I actually thought he was working for the organization already, and he wasn't. But more importantly, he was hired as a bench coach to replace Skip Schumacher, who got hired as the new manager of the Marlins. Why, with all that young talent, can the Marlins not go attract an experienced manager? Skip Schumacher is a very smart baseball coach, considered one of the future, top tier managers in baseball. But why can the Marlins, with that stable of young studs, not get an experienced manager to come work for them?
Not only stable, Harrison, they have 0 free agents this year. 0. So you know what you're getting.
It's insane. And the only manager you got, the only legitimate candidate you had was Skip Schumacher.
Yeah, I mean, I applied for it. I didn't even get a call back, but like,
I mean, God,
I don't
I
understand.
probably would have. I mean, if they hired Nick Arno, I would have been like, oh, that makes sense. This guy knows baseball. But like Skip Schumacher, all indications are is a super smart baseball guy. He was one of those super utility guys in his career. A lot of time with the
Yeah,
Cardinals, but like the Marlins, that's what they come back with as a manager. Don Mattingly, a well-respected kind of legend of the game, exits, and you replace him with Skip Schumacher.
I mean, there's something funky going on there. I feel
What the
like,
hell's
I
going on in
mean,
Miami?
Jeter just doesn't get up and leave unless he feels like they're. Oh my god!
Honestly, Morgan, no BS. I thought if you're going to hire an experienced guy, Joe Madden might be a good fit for those young players. And I'm not even joking. Like I thought he might actually be a good fit for a young group of players like that. Girardi should never see a baseball field again. Like that guy, great catcher, had his place in the game. Terrible manager. God, the guy cannot manage the flow of a game to save his life.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there's something behind the scenes in the Marlins organization that we're not seeing as fans. Because for
Yeah,
Jeter to have that exit that he did, like, just tells me that their frame of mind is not winning and never will be. You know what I mean? Unless they
yeah,
get to that point where it's like, okay, we're gonna go pay for another World Series and then dump everybody the next year, like they did in
right.
'97, like they did in '03,
Well, and it's
which they're
like,
due for one.
well, and it's like I look at Bruce Bochy's coming back to manage the Rangers. Like,
Right.
what was he even considered for the Miami job? Like, Bruce Bochy is a hell of a manager who can work with young organizations, and the Rangers saw that and grabbed him. Did he even look at the Miami job? Like,
I doubt it. I bet he didn't even go over that way.
he'd be a great fit for Miami. But yeah, did they talk to him? Was he even interested? Like, why can the Marlins not attract a better manager with a roster that's not that far away from being really friggin' good?
I mean, their starting rotation. We talked about it last preseason. We'll probably talk about it again this preseason. They're disgusting.
I mean, Sandy Alcantara is a Cy Young finalist. Like
And Pablo Lopez at the beginning of last year too was lights out too.
that team is so close, and they're so young. I
Yeah.
mean, next year they could be like the Guardians this year. Like they're not far away.
No, they're not. Absolutely not. Yeah, I don't know.
I scratch
Something
my head
weird.
at
Yeah.
a guy like Bruce Bochy goes to the Rangers, but like the Marlins counter with Skip Schumacher. I
Pujols
send
is going back to the Angels to fulfill his
yeah. He's got a
organizational contract or
personal
whatever.
services contract tied into his deal with the Angels. So Pujols will not be eligible to manage for like 5 or 10 years. He's got a long stretch of personal services stuff with the Angels, I believe.
Yachty could get a job next year. No job.
Yeah,
No joke.
Yachty, you told me Yadier Molina was the new manager. I'd have said amen. Like
Yachty's
that'd be the
managing Team
perfect.
Puerto Rico this for the
Yeah.
WBC. Like he's gonna have experience.
If I'm a Miami Marlins fan, the three of you guys that are out there, like if you announced Yadier Molina versus Skip Schumacher, I'd be pumped about Yadier Molina. I'd be like, who the hell is Skip
100%.
Schumacher?
Imagine him with that pitching staff. Yee.
Well, imagine you got a guy like Jason Varitek still roaming around the Red Sox organization. I feel like he's the manager potentially after Cora, but guys like that, these guys make great managers. Think of the days of Mike Scioscia in Anaheim. Like these former catchers, except for Joe Girardi, seem to end up as really good managers. But I shake my head that the Rangers get Bruce Bochy and the Marlins get Skip Schumacher. Like, what the hell? That seems like it'd be an awesome gig.
I agree. I mean, the thing with the catchers is they're already pretty much managers of the game, right? Their whole entire career.
They
So
see
it's
the
just
whole
an
thing.
easy step for them. So.
And then the last one is: did you see our buddy Mattress Mac in Houston make $75 million on his bet?
Crazy, man. The rich get richer.
So for those that don't know the story, Mattress Mac, anytime they actually been in the World Series, he does one of those crazy furniture sales, kind of like Jordan's did if the Red Sox won the World Series, don't buy your furniture. He did that for years, so he always bought the insurance of the Astros winning. And this year, he actually put a bet on the game and on the series and won $75 million.
Nuts, man. 75.
Oh God.
The guy looks
His
like
win-
he's gonna pass away tomorrow, though.
Yeah, and his winnings are considered to be the most in sports betting history.
Well, God, I would hope so.
It's
Crazy.
insanity.
Did he put that up at the beginning of the year? He must have, right?
Let's see.
Because there's no way he would have made $75 million on.
No, so he bet on May 13th. He placed a $3 million bet at 10-1 odds, and then he added to it more as the World Series started.
Crazy.
But yeah, so this is the guy that for years did the whole like, if the Astros win, don't pay for your furniture,
Right.
and bought the insurance for it. And this year he actually placed a straight up bet on the game and won $75 million.
Insane. Must be nice.
Wild. Absolutely wild.
Yeah. You got anything else or?
No, that's good. I think Morgan's right though. I want to see Yadier Molina 2023. I want to see him managing somewhere. Maybe 2024. Give him a year with Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could. Honestly. I mean, and like we said, like I don't know the exact details on the Albert Pujols personal thing, but I know it's a handful of years. I'm pretty sure it's like 4 or 5 at least.
Yeah, he has a 10-year, $10 million personal services contract with the Angels.
Oh, so it is 10 years. So you're right.
Yeah, he's got 10 full years of having to, be an ambassador, wave to the crowd, shake hands, kiss babies.
Yeah.
Now, the interesting thing is it can be declined or terminated by Pujols at any point, but he's saying he won't because he signed the contract and he'll honor it.
I mean, that's the kind of guy he is, really. But
well, that's the thing. I mean, in a personal services contract, they're going to pay him $1 million to basically come out to some ball games, wave to the crowd, right. Do some commercials for them, do some radio spots for them. Like, it's probably going to take him all of, he's probably going to give them all of 200 hours a year.
You're right.
But still, like, they want him to be around and be an ambassador. And who knows, maybe the new ownership group will say, we're not paying you that, get out of here.
But, right. That's true. Well, Morgan says anywhere but the Cubs. I don't want him. Fair enough. I know he's been a nemesis for you and your Cubbies. But yeah.
Sure has.
All right. Well, we'll keep our ear to the pavement, see if anything else happens this week. But this could be a slow week for us. But we are going to start getting into some like cool off-season debates and like some more brackets like we did early, like last year when we did like the bracket of all time. We'll talk about certain like top 5 at each position. I mean, we got some stuff coming up that's going to be fun and interactive for all the viewers, at least we hope. So stay tuned for some of the off-season stuff. And like we said, there's going to be a lot of off-season news, so I'm sure there's going to be no shortage of content coming up. But we'll have the awards coming up. We'll have bracket of best baseball records.
I want to do a bracket of managers, so Sean can absolutely rail on Aaron Boone for a whole show.
All-time baseball manager. Goodness gracious, that's a good one. Baseball. You mean baseball records, as in like most no-hitters, most strikeouts, like stuff like that? Is that what you mean, Morgan?
Or the bracket of what records are the best, like most career home runs versus most career strikeouts.
Right. That's gonna. I like that.
We'll come up with a bunch of them. We'll have some fun this offseason. At least we know there's gonna be baseball, unlike last year, and hopefully, where they've got the new CBA and all the new terms are established, the free agency will start sooner than it did last year, where everything got delayed.
Right.
Because it was quiet there for a stretch with nobody signing anywhere.
Oh my God, it was brutal. Like free agent news, nope. Free agent news, nope. Season started, free agent news, nope.
Yeah, free agent news, they're all still out there.
Crazy.
Ain't nobody signed anywhere.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thanks for listening and thanks for tuning in. Like I said, we'll be throwing stuff periodically during the off season here. Which record would you want to have the most? Okay, I like that. Yeah, I like that for sure.
Most quality starts, right, Nick?
Definitely most quality starts. Yeah. But yeah, so we'll keep throwing stuff out there and interact with us when you can. So yeah, just follow us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, And we will see you still every Monday at 8 during the off season.